Because in India, people are running. I noticed about 4 cars waiting at the gate. I was supposed to go to the let the gatekeeper know I'm coming in. I came through the gate where the guests, where the owners are supposed to come in. That's why the gate was closed.
Is it okay if we put this so we can get good mic? Or right. I'll have to take it under your hand, Maharaj. whatever you want to do.
How do you know the people?
Yeah. About most of the people are in our Bhakti-vṛkṣa, so they know the scriptures. There are some newcomers from this neighborhood. So the main, whatever you feel like, however you want to do. But there are about 5 families are totally new. We have listened to the exam people speak. In this house we've had several programs to attract people to come to Bhakti-vṛkṣa. But we've not been able to penetrate the Indian community here.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever. But there are many of us are already familiar with scriptures.
I texted her mommy just now, but I don't know if she got it. But I'm not hungry at all. And I'm probably not going to eat much. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Parakamala Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabdutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vṛkṣa Swami iti namine.
Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vṛkṣa Swami iti namine.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vṛkṣa.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vṛkṣa.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vṛkṣa.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi
Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vṛkṣa
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vṛkṣa
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vṛkṣa
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Srivasadi
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya 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 Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Astottara Satra Sri Srimad Bhakti-vṛkṣa Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Astottara Satra Sri Srimad Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Giriraj Swami Maharaj ki jai.
So, should I just start to speak? Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization, text 11. Etan nirvidyamananam ichatam akuto bayam yoginam nripanirnitam harirnamanukirtanam etan nirvidyamananam ichatam akuto bayam yoginam nripanirnitam harinamanukirtanam. Please repeat. Etat, it is. Nirvidyamananam, of those who are completely free from all material desires.
Of those who are completely free from all material desires.
Ichatam, of those who are desirous.
Of those who are desirous.
Of all sorts of material enjoyment.
Of all sorts of material enjoyment.
Akutabhayam,
free
free from all doubts and fear.
from all doubts and fear.
Yoginam, of all who are self-satisfied.
Of all who are self-satisfied.
Nripa, O King. Nirnitam, decided truth.
Decided truth.
Hare, of the Lord. Sri Krishna. Nama, holy name. Anu, after someone. Always. Kirtanam, chanting. Translation. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord, after the ways of the great authorities, is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. Please repeat. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord, after the ways of the great authorities, is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied
and also those who are self-satisfied
by dint of transcendental knowledge.
by dint of transcendental knowledge.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
In the previous verse, the great necessity for attaining attachment to Mukunda has been accredited. There are different types of persons who desire to attain success in different varieties of pursuits. Generally, the persons are materialists who desire to enjoy the fullest extent of material gratification. Next to them are the transcendentalists who have attained perfect knowledge about the nature of material enjoyment and thus are aloof from such an illusory way of life. More or less, they are satisfied in themselves by self-realization. Above them are the devotees of the Lord, who neither aspire to enjoy the material world, nor desire to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of Krishna, the Lord. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotee can accept all sorts of material facilities. And if the Lord does not desire this, the devotees can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. Nor are they self-satisfied, because they want the satisfaction of the Lord only. So in this verse, different categories of persons are mentioned, and these categories cover everyone. Those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So every one of us in this room comes in one of those categories, and maybe a combination of more than one category, but we're all covered. Either free from all material desires, desirous of all material enjoyment, and self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. Now in this verse, one of the significant words, or it's actually a prefix, is anu. Anu means following. Like we are Rupanugas, we're followers of Rupa Goswami. Ramanuja, follower of Ram. And anu also means continuous. And Srila Prabhupada has included both meanings very beautifully in his translation. Constant chanting, that's anu, of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities, that is also anu, is the doubtless and fearless way, akuta bhayam. of success for all. That means all of us can become successful by constant chanting the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities. And we'll discuss what does that mean after the ways of great authorities. We continue the purport. In this verse, Sri Shukadev Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. By offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, offenseless. Please turn off your cell phones, or at most put them on vibrate, but don't answer. So, offenseless. By offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord, and then with the attributes of the Lord, and then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes, etc. So offenseless chanting is really the stage at which we can really appreciate what the holy name is. And the holy name, it's a nama, rupa, guna, lila. From offenseless chanting of the name, nama, we can appreciate the form of the Lord, rupa, the qualities of the Lord, guna, the pastimes of the Lord, lila. Everything about the Lord becomes revealed. And one realizes that the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself are the same. Srila Prabhupada gives the explanation that in the relative world, or in the material world, the name of a thing and the thing are different. For example, if I'm in a desert and I'm thirsty and I chant water, 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 just chanting water, water won't quench my thirst, because the word water and the substance water are different. But in the spiritual realm, or absolute realm, the name and the person are the same. So when we chant Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna is personally present, dancing on our tongues. And we can realize that Krishna is actually present when we chant without offense. As we will read, and this is the meaning of Anukirtanam, following the ways of the great authorities. Following the ways of the great authorities means to chant without offense. And the offenses are mentioned in the Padma Purana as being 10 in number. So we'll discuss those shortly. But the the conclusion is that the holy name of Krishna and Krishna himself are the same. Now, when we chant, we're calling the names of Radha and Krishna. Hare is a way of addressing Radha, and of course Krishna is Krishna. So when we call someone's name, they will respond, yes, what do you want? So we're calling on the names of Radha and Krishna, and if they ask us, yes, what do you want? What will we say? I could ask you to mentally make a list of what you would ask for if Radha and Krishna asked you what you want. But that may not be a very fruitful exercise, except it would put us in touch with our desires, if we're not already. But a devotee, pure devotee, will ask for only one thing. What will the devotee ask for? Raise your hand if someone knows. Namasharanya Prabhu.
Engage us in their service.
Yes, yes, to engage us in their service. Devotee doesn't ask for anything else. He only wants to be engaged in the Lord's service. And there are many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam of when the Lord has personally appeared and asked his devotee to accept some benediction. And the devotee never asked for anything except devotional service. When I first came to the Boston Temple, I was hearing Srila Prabhupada speak, and he was emphasizing service to the Lord, service to God. And it occurred to me, the question arose in my mind, and I asked the question to him, that you speak so much about service to God, what about service to man? And in the course of his answer, Srila Prabhupada told the story of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, as many of you may know, was the son of King Uttanapad. And King Uttanapad had two wives, Suniti and Suruchi. And one day, Dhruva, as a 5-year-old child, was playing on the lap of his father. Is anyone here 5 years old? Please stand up. This is what a 5-year-old boy looks like. So Dhruva Maharaj, you should listen to this. This is about a 5-year-old boy. So Dhruva Maharaj was 5 years old. He was playing on the lap of his father. And his stepmother, the king's co-wife, Suruchi, very arrogantly told him, you cannot sit on the throne, because on his father's lap means on the throne, indirectly. You cannot sit on the throne because you are not born from my womb. And the father, unfortunately, was so attached to that co-wife, although he was naturally affectionate to his son, but because of his attachment to her, he rebuffed the son. So that boy, Dhruva, was very upset, and he went to his mother, Suniti, and told her what had happened. Anyway. So she explained that the king had two wives, and the other wife was his favorite, and she was not. But Dhruva, he had that Kshatriya spirit. Who can explain what is Kshatriya spirit? Anyone? Shigopika?
Maybe in a literal sense it means like the fighting spirit, to not give up.
Yeah. For Kshatriyas, if there's a challenge, they must respond.
They cannot accept insult.
Sorry?
They cannot accept insult.
Yeah, that's a part of it. Yeah, they can't accept insult. So Dhruva Maharaj, he wasn't ready to let go of the kingdom, and so he asked, his mother what to do. So she said, I'm not his favorite. I don't think I can do anything to help you. So then he said, well, then who can help me? And she replied, I think only God can help you. And he said, where can I find God? And she replied, well, I don't know, but many sages and saintly persons go to the forest to find God, so maybe you'll find him there. So Dhruva, at the age of 5, left home, and he went to the forest to find God. And in his own childish way, he was looking for God. He would look in the bushes, he would look behind the logs, he would look under the rocks, but he couldn't find God. But God was in his heart, and God understood that he's very sincere to find me. So the Lord sent a guru to guide Dhruva in the method by which he could attain God. So the Lord sent Narada Muni, the great sage Narada, and Narada came, and the first thing he did was test Dhruva, because it's one of the duties of the spiritual master to test the disciple, or the prospective disciple. So he told him, my dear boy, you're only 5 years old. You shouldn't take these things so seriously. You should go home and play with the other children, and don't worry about these serious matters. So Dhruva Maharaj showed his sincerity of purpose, and in a way you could say his kshatriya determination. The Bhagavad Gita explains the qualities by which kshatriyas work. One of their qualities is determination. And Dhruva Maharaj said, if you can help me find God, I will be very happy. But if you want to tell me to go home, then you can go home. So Narada thought, all right, the boy is very serious, and he gave him the holy name to chant, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And along with the holy name, he gave him some austerities to perform. And by such sincere chanting and performance of austerities, eventually the Lord did appear to Dhruva Maharaj. And so Dhruva was, overwhelmed with love for the Lord, and he offered beautiful prayers. And then the Lord asked him to accept some boon or benediction. And Dhruva Maharaj said, I don't want anything. And the Lord said, but what about your kingdom? You came to the forest to find me. You performed so many austerities and chanted my holy name so that you could get your kingdom. What about your kingdom? And Dhruva replied, Swamin kritarthosmi varam dayache. That I was seeking pieces of broken glass, and now I have got the most precious jewel. So I'm millions of times satisfied, and I don't desire any benediction. Now you recall, this story was related to me by Srila Prabhupada in connection with my question, what is the relationship between, that you speak so much about service to God, what about service to man? And then Srila Prabhupada said that if you give someone Krishna consciousness, he becomes completely satisfied. He has no more wants. So is that not service to man? To give someone something that will make him so satisfied that he has no more want or desire? And somehow in the course of his answer, Srila Prabhupada used the word pickpocketing, saying no more pickpocketing. You know what pickpocketing is? Who knows what pickpocketing is? You all are so pious, the word hasn't even entered your vocabulary. Well, pickpocketing is something that thieves do. Like in a crowd of people, they'll bump into you, or sometimes they work in a pair or a team, and someone will like bump into you and distract you, and then they'll put their hand in your pocket and take out your money. So Srila Prabhupada said, be fully satisfied, no more pickpocketing. Now, as a young man then, I was quite moral and upright. But I did have one weakness, which is akin to pickpocketing, called shoplifting. Does anyone know what shoplifting is? Well, I guess one of my friends, I hadn't thought of it myself, but one of my friends explained, you can go into a shop, and if you find some small object, when no one's looking, you can just take it off the shelf and put it in your pocket and walk out with it. No one will ever know. So that's shoplifting. So Srila Prabhupada said no more pickpocketing, but I related that to my shoplifting. And I thought, wow, I'm thinking I'm such an upstanding young man, but I do have that bad habit. And Prabhupada's saying that by Krishna consciousness, I won't do that because I'll be satisfied. So, and there's another story that Srila Prabhupada related at the same time, around the same time, about Alexander the Great. You know who Alexander the Great was? Can you tell us who he is?
He was the great emperor who conquered most of the world.
Yeah. He's Greek. And he was traveling all over and conquering wherever he went. So in the course of his exploits, he came to India. And as soon as he came to the precincts of India, he found a sadhu performing austerities in the hot sun. So he was very impressed by this sight. And so he got down from his horse, or his chariot, and he approached the sadhu, and he said, I'm very impressed with you. I'm Alexander the Great. I'm the conqueror of the world. I'm prepared to give you whatever you want. Just ask, and I'll give you whatever you want. And the sadhu replied, just move to the side. You're blocking the sun. In other words, his austerity was to sit in the hot sun. So that shade or shadow for an ordinary person would be welcome relief. But for him, it was an obstruction to his austerity. And Alexander the Great became even more impressed, and he sent a message back to his troops that, these people here are very special, so don't mess with them. But again, we're on the point of being satisfied. Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction from the Lord himself. He didn't want anything. This yogi or sadhu was offered a benediction from Alexander the Great. He didn't want anything. He was satisfied with his spiritual life. So Prabhupada was saying that, if you give someone something that makes him so satisfied that he doesn't have any desire for anything else, is that not service? That's the service that devotees perform. So now we come back to the purport. Here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. That means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity of chanting his glories develops successively. So first is hearing, Shravanam, then Kirtanam. We hear and then we chant or repeat what we have heard. And as I mentioned, there's Nam, Rupa Goswami, and the Bhakti-vṛkṣa Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada has translated as a summary study, as the Nectar of Devotion, has enumerated 64 items of devotional service. And Prahlad Maharaj has enumerated 9, Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Rupa Goswami has analyzed those further. So Shravanam or Kirtanam can be Nam, the holy name, Rupa, form, Guna, qualities, Lila, pastimes, and so on. So those are different categories of hearing and different categories of chanting. So, hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity of chanting his glories, first Shravanam, then Kirtanam, develops successively, name, form, attributes, and pastimes. According to Sri Shukadev Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded not only by him, but also by all other previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need of further evidence. This is the rendering of Nirnitam, that's what I thought, Nirnitam, decided truth. Decided truth, there's no controversy, no discussion. The process is recommended not only for the progressive students in different departments of ideological success, but also for those who are already successful in their achievements as fruitive workers, as philosophers, or as devotees of the Lord. So we began in the beginning with these different categories, and those different categories break down into fruitive workers. Like if you have material desires, you become a fruitive worker. You want to enjoy the world. And if you want to escape the world, then you become a philosophical speculator, Jnani, so-called Jnani. And if you want to serve Krishna, then you become a devotee. So this process of chanting the holy name, following the ways of the great authorities, is recommended not only for success in these different fields of activity, but it's recommended even for those who are already successful. That means you become more successful, more blessed. Srila Jiva Goswami instructs that chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be done loudly and it should be performed offenselessly as well, as recommended in the Padma Purana. So I'll read these offenses. They're worth noting. I did speak on them to some extent on Sunday during the initiation ceremony at the temple. I'll read them and I may comment a little here and there. One can deliver himself from the effects of all sins by, complete the sentence without looking on your smartphone. Huh? From the Bhagavad Gita. How do you get free from sins? From the Bhagavad Gita. Most famous verse in the whole Bhagavad Gita. That's it. Surrendering. That's it. Sarvadharman parityaja, mamekam saranam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhyo. All sins, mokshayishyami, I liberate you. So, one can deliver himself from the effect of all sins by surrendering himself unto the Lord. One can deliver himself from all offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. I mean, what you said was right, but we're aiming at something else. One can deliver himself from all offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. Therefore, it is often said that the holy name of the Lord is more merciful than the Lord himself. And one great devotee prayed, "My dear Lord, you are so kind that as your holy name, you are my constant companion." So one can deliver himself from all offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. But one cannot protect himself if one commits an offense at the feet of the holy name of the Lord. So it's very important that we don't. Did you know that the holy name has feet? It says right here. The feet of the holy name. The holy name has feet because it's Krishna. Such offenses are mentioned in the Padma Purana as being 10 in number. The first offense is to vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. Well, this is worth commenting on because in one place, Srila Prabhupada says that this is the worst offense, to vilify or blaspheme devotees who have dedicated themselves to preaching the glories of the holy name. So we shouldn't criticize devotees. That's a very big topic, but we should not do it. We just shouldn't do it. If you feel there are exceptions, you can approach me and we can discuss it separately. But for now, just leave it at that. No criticizing devotees. The second offense is to see the holy names of the Lord in terms of worldly distinction. The Lord is the proprietor of all the universes, and therefore he may be known in different places by different names. But that does not in any way qualify, or that means limit, the fullness of the Lord. Any nomenclature which is meant for the Supreme Lord is as holy as the others, because they are all meant for the Lord. Such holy names are as powerful as the Lord, and there is no bar for anyone in any part of the creation to chant and glorify the Lord by the particular name of the Lord as it is locally understood. They are all auspicious, and one should not distinguish such names of the Lord as material commodities. This is very important, especially if one, well, I mean, in any case, but especially if one is meeting with or speaking to people who are not part of the Vedic tradition. They will have other names of the Lord in their languages. And so Srila Prabhupada is saying that all of the names of the Lord are the Lord himself. They're all powerful. And we should not distinguish between them as if they were material commodities, but we should respect them all as the Lord himself. Srila Prabhupada had an Iranian disciple, Mars Attar, to whom he gave the name Atreya Rishi. And Atreya Rishi was very brilliant. He was, anyway. And so he, at a certain stage, he went back to Iran, and Srila Prabhupada visited Iran. And Atreya Rishi was, at one point he waxed eloquent and speaking about the time when all the Muslims in Iran would be chanting Hare Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said, why should they chant only Hare Krishna? They can also chant Allah, Allah. We are not sectarian. So that's the idea of this. The third offense, but I must add, but that will come also in the offenses, that the names of the demigods are not on the same level as the name of the Supreme Lord. So that's something else. But any nomenclature, what does nomenclature mean? Yes, yeah, so sort of a extended term for name. Yeah, any nomenclature for the Supreme Lord in whatever language is as good as any other. The third offense is to neglect the orders of the authorized acharyas or spiritual masters. The fourth offense is to vilify scriptures or Vedic knowledge. The fifth offense is to define the holy name of the Lord in terms of one's mundane calculation. The holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord himself, and one should understand the holy name of the Lord to be non-different from him. The sixth offense is to interpret the holy name. The Lord is not imaginary, nor is his holy name. There are persons with a poor fund of knowledge What does that mean, a poor fund of knowledge? Sort of a polite way or a fancy way of saying they don't know much. There are persons with a poor fund of knowledge who think the Lord to be an imagination of the worshipper, and therefore think his holy name to be imaginary. Such a chanter of the name of the Lord cannot achieve the desired success in the matter of chanting the holy name. The seventh offense is to commit sins intentionally on the strength of the holy name. In the scriptures, it is said that one can be liberated from the effects of all sinful actions simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as Dev Darshan Prabhu said correctly. One who takes advantage of this transcendental method and continues to commit sins on the expectation of neutralizing the effects of sins by chanting the holy name of the Lord is the greatest offender at the feet of the holy name. Such an offender cannot purify himself by any recommended method of purification. In other words, one may be a sinful man before chanting the holy name of the Lord, but after taking shelter in the holy name of the Lord and becoming immune, one should strictly restrain oneself from committing sinful acts with the hope that his method of chanting the holy name will give him protection. So that's the greatest offense, and it doesn't work. So yeah, it's a very offensive mentality. The eighth offense is to consider the holy name of the Lord and his chanting method to be equal to some material auspicious activity. There are various kinds of good works for material benefits, but the holy name and his chanting are not mere auspicious holy services. Undoubtedly, the holy name is holy service, but he should never be utilized for such purposes. Since the holy name and the Lord are of one and the same identity, one should not try to bring the holy name into the service of mankind. The idea is that the Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer. He is no one's servant or order supplier. Since the holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord, one should not try to utilize the holy name for one's personal service. So there was a meeting at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in Bombay, which was convened by Srimati Lilavati Munshi, who was the head of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan at the time. And the theme of the conference was that all the problems of the world could be solved by the Bhagavad Gita. And before the session began in the evening, she had a tea with the different sadhus whom she, not just sadhus, Gujarilal Nanda was there. I was sort of, I guess, esteemed as a saintly person. So she invited them all up to her personal quarters, her library, to talk. So one of the sadhus, I don't recall his name, he had a very long white beard, but he told Srila Prabhupada that he was having big gatherings, and at the gatherings he was telling people to chant the holy names, and if they chanted the holy names, they would be cured of their material diseases, their physical diseases. So he said to Srila Prabhupada, I'm gathering people, you're gathering people. I'm getting them to chant the holy name, you're getting them to chant the holy name. We should cooperate. And Srila Prabhupada replied, no. What you are proposing is against our principles. And he made the same point, that the holy name of the Lord is the Lord himself. He's not our servant, that we engage him like a doctor to cure us of our diseases. Yeah. The ninth offense is to instruct those who are not interested in chanting the holy name of the Lord about the transcendental nature of the holy name. If such an instruction is imparted to an unwilling audience, the act is considered to be an offense at the feet of the holy name. So we can induce anyone to chant, to hear and chant, but we don't discuss the glories of the holy name unless people are interested, or in other words, unless they have some faith, at least some preliminary faith. Otherwise, they'll become more offensive. They'll think that, you're exaggerating or imagining, and that they become more offensive, and then you're also implicated. The 10th offense is to become interested in the holy name of the Lord even after hearing of the transcendental